First of all, what has been the role of the Secretariat in preparing this? I know that working with the UN and hosting such a large congregation is very challenging.
Yes, and that's correct. Yes, we have. Well, it has been work in many tracks simultaneously. We have been working a lot on the logistical and organizational issues. At the same time, we have worked very, very hard in putting together first the proper atmosphere in order to start negotiations, rebuild trust among the parties, and then also trying to introduce some methodology in the work that allows for a more open discussions of the issues, a better understanding among the parties, and at the same time to try to focus on exactly what kind of possible outcomes we could envisage. We have also been working very hard in order to involve the private sector, civil society, and also in our case in Mexico, we have been working together with the Congress, which will play a major role. They are actually now discussing a draft law on climate change. So it's something that is of great importance to them, and it's also of importance to us that they can be aware of the nuances and of the different areas where difficulties arise in the negotiation, and at the same time where the opportunities for Mexico lie within this global framework.
You met with Senate leaders this week to discuss precisely that.
That's correct, yes, yes.
And I know that the international press has been focusing on the low expectations and kind of ignoring the fact that this is a long process that's taking place.
Yes.
But does that put additional pressure to kind of try to produce signs of progress, or even though the work will continue?
Well, yes, I think it has been very, very clear. I mean, in our minds, it's very clear how important and how much value this input that we are trying to consolidate at the Cancun conference represents for the process of fighting climate change. I think there has been a lot of confusion about the issue itself and about what the ways are to address the problem. First of all, since Copenhagen, for different reasons, the expectation was that the approval of a new treaty, meaning whatever will come after the first period of commitments under the Kyoto Protocol finishes in 2012, we may be able to approve. That would be the only possible outcome that would be signaled as a full success. I think that contributed a lot to the confusion, but it has to do also with the difficulty of communicating exactly what climate change is about. And for this reason, we are organizing in the framework of the conferences in Cancun a specific conference on communication on climate change issues. And by now, at least within the group of negotiators, it has become very clear that climate change and the ways to address it is not through one single decision, that one single decision will not by itself solve the problem. It is as if you were, you wanted to say, well, we have to take this only decision and that will solve the problem of poverty. That is not possible. It's a process. It involves really a full and deep revolution in our methods of production, in our consumption trends, in our lifestyle. So it will involve efforts by all the parties, not only political parties or not only political actors, but also from society, from business, from the scientific community. Today, for instance, that in Mexico there was the inauguration of this summit of mayors of cities around the world. It became also evident, and it is true, the contribution by the governments of the cities is very important in order to advance in an efficient and effective way to take measures in order to address the problem. So it has to be understood, and this message, I think we still have to work a lot on transmitting the message to the general public that climate change cannot be solved by only one decision, that it is a process that involves really, literally, all actors and all sectors of society.
Thank you. Yes. With the changes in the new U.S. Congress, is it necessary to change strategy or perhaps reorder priorities on the bilateral agenda? For example, I can't imagine that immigration reform is going to be handled by the U.S. government until after the 2012 presidential election.
Well, you know, actually, the agenda for our bilateral relations, of course, is determined by the national interest. What are the interests of Mexico? And while recognizing that the changes that take place in the U.S., not only in the federal government, but also the Congress and also in some state and local governments, has an impact in what the expectations can be of possible results in the different areas of our agenda. We, as the government, will maintain, will keep on signaling and insisting on the issues that are really important for our people. And it doesn't mean that we will not work on other issues. And our agenda has actually a lot of content where things are moving very well and where we are advancing a lot. The integration process between our two economies and our two societies is so broad that it is really even difficult to keep track of everything that happens every day between US and Mexico. Only federal authorities. Then if you add to that all the other contacts, it becomes really impossible. So we will maintain our priorities. We will try to explain, do our best in explaining how important it is, and also especially to explain how much we are certain that resolving this agenda jointly in a cooperative way, in a positive way, is really the correct way to address the different issues.
What's next with regard to the Merida initiative? What stage are we in right now?
Right now we are discussing about what kind of specific contents will be included in our cooperation beyond the date as of beyond the 2012 date, which is the moment where the first Merida initiative was approved. I have to say that we have agreed already that we need to give continuity to this process of cooperation, to this strong process of cooperation, because even it has become more visible and evident the need to strengthen that cooperation in order to address the big capacity that organized crime has acquired, and that the problem has sources and roots in the two countries, well, in other countries as well, but talking about our bilateral relationship. So what relates to the exchange of information, the cooperation between our authorities, the expanded methods for working together of authorities in the US side, authorities in the Mexico side. These will continue, which is probably the most important part of the Merida initiative. Having a new, stronger bilateral relation based on respect and confidence is really crucial to be able to be effective in this area. So I think that part, it is very clear that it will continue. The other part would be, well, what are we going to include next in terms of possible equipment to strengthen the capacities of the Mexican state to address this problem? This is something we are discussing. There are many needs. For instance, the President has expressed many times and clearly that he would like to have equipment for non-intrusive surveillance of the contents of the different vehicles that travel through our border to be examined. That is one area, but there are many other equipments, very specialized equipments that are necessary in order to confront these very powerful organizations.